This was not the movie adaptation of a Creedence Clearwater Revival song that I was expecting. By the way, I know it's a terrible joke, but when we tried to IMDb this thing and I just typed in Bad Moon, it was like, did you mean Bad Moon Rising? It was like, no, I did not. So, hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is day 3 of Werewolf Week on the post-Shriek Out reaction, which we were doing in honor of the full moon on Halloween. This is a film, though, that you actually suggested that we watch.
Yes, I watch Obscure Lupa on YouTube, and like she always reviews like werewolf movies and stuff.
Who would have thought with that name that she would be a big fan of werewolves? Yes.
And like one of the movies she reviewed was this movie, Bad Moon, and I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of curious because not only does it have a werewolf, it has a dog. I like dogs and I like werewolves. Why not check it out?
Sandwiched together. I was intrigued to watch this too because I have always been a fan of Disney made-for-TV movies and wish that people swore in them. This film is weird, and I don't mean like premise-wise. Premise-wise, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But like just the way this movie feels,
like the tone of the movie.
The tone of it. It feels like a Disney made-for-TV movie from the 90s. Except whenever the werewolf comes around, and then it gets insanely gory. And then at the very end of this, they swear, and I was like, has anyone swore up until this point? Because it feels like if you just cut out the kill scenes in here, this could be like a
Well, this also opened with a sex scene too.
Totally. Man, in the opening of this thing, it opens with this guy out in the jungle being attacked by a werewolf, and that entire sequence, I think I said, "Oh damn!" like 3 times throughout it, because this movie is shockingly graphic, actually, when it wants to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like. The graphic scenes are like so spread apart and it's like sandwiched in between wholesome family movie moments.
If you got up to leave to make a sandwich or get a drink at the exact right times when watching this movie, you had a very different experience with this film than everyone else. Like this film, the gore in here could Michigan J. Frog you easily. This movie doesn't seem like anything all that crazy. I'm gonna go and get a drink, you get up and leave, and then somebody's coming back like, you just missed the crane, what? You just missed this thing! Yeah, that's kind of like how it's spaced up in here. So what this movie is about this guy, he ends up getting bitten, turned into a werewolf, as you do. But then it focuses on this woman who...
Like, who's his sister.
Yeah, it is his sister, and she's got a son.
She's a single mom.
She's a single mom.
And she has a dog, a German Shepherd named Thor.
Yes, which, if you see a movie with a German Shepherd in it, they're either going to be the villain or the most heroic dog you've ever seen. And this dog is, like, over the top goody two-shoes.
Like... She doesn't need a man. She has this dog in her life. Like, this dog literally, like, takes a teddy bear and puts it in the little boy's bed and, like, licks his face as in kissing him goodnight.
Yeah, like, I think it's in a sequence where the dog, like, grabs the covers with its teeth and, like, pulls it over
the boy.
This is the most well-trained dog I have ever seen in my life. And they want you to like this dog. They want you to like this dog because of a thing that happens later on in the film, which I'll go ahead. We won't really get to spoilers until later on in this review. But I will just go ahead and say, the dog does not die. For anybody who's like worried, like, oh, they're setting up a really nice dog. Oh, I know how horror movies work. Yes, that is typically how horror movies work. Doesn't happen here. The dog does not die.
Another reason why I want to check out this movie.
Yes.
I'm tired of dogs dying in horror movies.
It is such a cheap way to make the audience go, oh, bad thing happening now. It's like, oh, come on, man. Have the dog run away because the dog looks at the scary thing and goes, I'm supposed to protect the humans, but I'm out.
Or maybe the dog runs off to get help, but by the time help comes, it's too late.
Yeah, something like that. Or do what they did in the Amityville Horror, where the dog is trapped inside and the man has to run back into the screaming maw of hell to rescue the dog. Because I remember that scene, and I do not trust people who watch that scene and don't say, yeah, I'd go back for the dog. Then again, I'm also the guy who in Alien is like, why the fuck are you going back for the cat?
Well, cats are different than dogs.
Not to get completely off topic here. But when I was in college, I took a film class, and the teacher of that class, we watched Alien in there, and they were talking about the way to put psychological messages into your story. And they were asking, okay, there's a lot of sex imagery in here. There's a lot of paternal imagery in this film. I mean, the ship is named Mother, and they were talking about how, like, the ship at the end that Ripley escapes on is supposed to look almost like a womb. And I was like, okay, there's stuff in there. Like, you know, when the alien gets fired out at the end, it's like, it's tangled up on a cord, so that's supposed to be almost like the umbilical cord kind of thing. It's like, okay, there's a lot of, like, really crazy imagery and messages in there. And then he goes, and does anyone know why Ripley went back for the cat? It's like, to show, like, motherly instincts to protect something smaller than her, maybe? It's like, no, that's not why. It's like, okay, why? And the teacher goes, because the cat is a pussy. It's supposed to be a symbol of woman empowerment, a representation of the vagina.
Like, really?
No.
Out of all the shit in that movie, that's the thing you picked up?
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, all right. The alien's face looks like a penis. Yeah, that's an obvious one. The face huggers look like vaginas. All right, cool. At least like the thing opening up. Yeah, okay. Yep, okay, I got all this. All right. I'm going to stop you there. And to this day, I have tried to watch Alien and go, all right, let me see if that interpretation holds up. Nope, does not. Like, I've watched Alien many times since then. No, I can't. All the other ones, umbilical cord, all that stuff, yeah, okay, I can follow you on that stuff. Can't get behind that one. Nope, not happening. So anyway, sorry, that is one of those things that a teacher told me years ago, and to this day, I am still just like, it's not
That's
happening.
bullshit. Like,
I'm sorry. It's gotta call bullshit. I want a refund from that class. So, anywho.
back to the dog.
Yeah, back to the dog. The brother ends up moving back after being gone for a while, and something bad ends up happening. It's someone gets killed by a werewolf. We all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We all know that the brother's a werewolf by now.
Yeah.
And so he calls up the sister and is like, so I feel like I'm not safe here right now, and it was really good getting to see you again, and can I just maybe come and just be with you guys for a little while? So they move his trailer into the backyard, and yeah, they now have a werewolf living on the premises.
Yeah, but they don't know that, but the dog does, because...
And that's what this film is. The dog is very suspicious of this man, and I'm trying to think of other things to say, but this movie is only 80 minutes long, and there's some padding in here. Like, there's a segment in here in which the dog is, like, looking at him as he tries to leave his trailer and go outside for a walk, and they just have, like, this standoff that goes on for a while. Like, he gets out there, the dog is just staring at him, he goes back inside, peeks out the dog from the window, walks back out, goes forward, comes back, goes forward, comes back, and keeps focusing on his shoes. And I actually had to stop and wonder, was this product placement from Nike? Because he's wearing very clearly Nike shoes, and that segment goes on for so long that I was like, okay, either this is padding or it's product placement. And considering the fact that this movie is only 80 minutes long, it might have been padding to get them up to runtime.
And yet, despite the padding, it feels like it moves a bit quickly, like with Ted, that's his name, like,
yes.
With Ted's character development, like, he goes...
Oh, I know what you're gonna say, yeah.
Like, he goes from, like, someone who feels guilty and realizes that he's killing everyone and he doesn't want to be a werewolf and trying to solve his problems to suddenly just accepting being a werewolf and wants to kill everybody.
They did not know what they wanted this man to be. They did not know if they wanted him to be the reluctant victim of all this that's going on, or if they wanted him to just be evil. They had no idea what they wanted him to be, and towards the end of this film, they end up, like, blaming the, like, grisly animal attacks that are going on around town on the dog, and the dog gets taken away and gets sent to the pound, and it's a very sad scene.
Yeah.
If you care about dogs, it is a sad sequence there. The dog doesn't die, but this segment here is pretty upsetting. And you see Ted there with the family now, and just staring at the dog. It's like, bye-bye. I was like, weren't you, like, a moment ago, like, weren't you, like, half an hour ago, like, on the phone with your sister crying because you felt so guilty about the fact that that the werewolf had taken over and forced you to kill someone, And now you're just like, yes, now the family's all mine, dog. It's like, what
And
the fuck?
like, what's the weird part about it is like, every night he goes out to the woods with handcuffs and tries to handcuff himself to a tree so he doesn't get loose and like kill somebody. But he always manages
He always gets
to.
loose. It really has like no effect. It's like, so you're doing this to stall it? And then there came a moment in which I realized if he breaks out of those handcuffs every single night, how many handcuffs does he own? Because if you break handcuffs apart, it's not like just something like, okay, I just insert thing A back into thing B and handcuffs working again now. Maybe that's why he breaks out of them every single night. He's never bought new ones. He's using the same busted ones every single night. Yeah, it is so weird how this film just constantly goes back and forth on what this guy is. They have no idea. And there came a moment in which you said, so are they trying to say that, like, the evil wolf side of him has now taken over? I was like, you were giving this film way too much credit. You are imagining a whole different other film out there in which they thought of motivations and a plot structure. This was just an idea. This film is an idea. And no, it's not a bad idea.
No.
It's kind of an interesting idea, but like, yeah, they really, it feels like they had the idea and then they were like, oh my goodness, we didn't think of what to do for the next 20 minutes until we get to the final scene.
Yeah, like this is basically the same as like a wolf cover. It's like they have an idea, but they don't know how to make a story around that idea.
This was better than Wolf Cop. This is much better than Wolf Cop. There's likable characters in this film. I really like the mom in here.
Yeah, she was a badass.
Yeah, she was pretty cool.
And like that's like every time like I see like these movies with like the single mom, she's like, oh, if only I had a man around the house. Like, no, fuck you. I'm a lawyer. I know how to get shit done.
This was a film made in the 90s, and there's a lot of 90s tropes in here. And one of the tropes that was big at the time in the 90s was the you don't need a man for any of this stuff. And this is it's done pretty darn well in here. I actually think it was handled very well in this film, in which it doesn't feel like they're stopping the entire film to like kind of like turn to the audience and like have her make some big statement about this. It felt like they just wrote a really well-developed character in here, and that was her character, that she doesn't need a man. I mean, that was part of her character there.
And it's like German Shepherds need like training from someone with a very strong will, and I can definitely see her like training Thor as a puppy to like obey her and everything.
That's when you look at this dog being that obedient, it is almost jokishly, it is almost a joke how well trained he is, but when you see how professional she is, you can be like, yeah, I see it, yeah. Mm-hmm. I totally imagine that she trained this dog to be like that. It totally works. What else is there to say about this? I will say, the werewolf, pretty cool looking. Even though they clearly had multiple werewolf designs, because there's moments in which he has gray fur, and there's moments where he has brown fur. And again, it was another moment in which you're like, so are they trying to say that, like, he's changing as the movie goes on? I was like, again, you were giving this movie way too much. No, they had multiple werewolf costumes, and one of them came back a different color, and they're like, fuck it, we'll use it.
Yeah, like the practical effects were pretty awesome.
They're pretty good.
The transformation scene with
It's
the
90s,
CGI,
yeah.
it's basically if someone did a warp on Photoshop.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought it was. That's exactly what I thought it was. Yeah, the actual CGI transformation scene, not good. Not good at all. But the actual, like, practical effects, it's a really good werewolf costume that they made in here. And it's got, like, the animatronic jaw. And it does look animatronic at times. It does look like, you're at Disneyland and it's about to give you a speech with, like, the jug band jamboree or whatever. So the werewolf mouth actually closing. I mean, it is a little mechanical, but it's a good-looking mouth. I mean, it's a good look. That's a weird sentence. It is a good-looking wolf face. I did actually think this looked pretty dope.
I kind of wish that they showed the werewolf actually biting, because that's how you turn into a werewolf. But considering the animatronic mouth, they were probably worried it would break or something. That's why they would always have the werewolf cutting people up with his claws.
Yeah. That's something I forgot to mention when we did the Wolfman 2 days ago. It kind of cracked me up in that film that's like, okay, he's turning into a wolf. How does he kill people? By choking them. I forgot to bring that up in the review, but that did crack me up in that movie. But yeah, so the werewolf actual practical effects are pretty dope. I actually really did it's one of those, I refer to it as a Planet Hollywood special effect. Because whenever you would go to Planet Hollywood and you would see really big, crazy props in there, but you would look at them and go, I don't know what that movie's from. I've never heard of that. This is exactly the kind of costume that you would see at Planet Hollywood. It's a really good costume. No one knows what this movie is, though. So Planet Hollywood could buy that thing for cheap. So yeah, I do really have to applaud this film for that. And the final showdown, I actually thought that was badass. That entire final sequence in there, I actually really enjoyed that. This film, it is kind of jumbled, and it's kind of all over the place getting to this point. But yeah, the final showdown is pretty impressive. It's just so odd that it's in this movie because we haven't really talked about it enough. But yeah, all the stuff with the little kid in here, all the just the tone that the film is shot with, like the cinematography of it, it feels like a Disney made-for-home movie, is what it feels like. And it's very odd when you get to the werewolf stuff, because then it gets incredibly gory and graphic. Also, like, the sequence towards the end in which the little kid has to go and rescue Thor from the pound, that is straight out of a Disney movie.
Yeah.
That is 100%. And what's weird is that kid had not been seen for a long time in this movie. And I kind of forgot that he was in, like, the final 2 scenes with that kid, each time he popped up, I went, I forgot you were in this film, kid. Oh, man.
Like, it's funny how you say, like, this feels like a family-friendly movie, but with werewolves, but you forget the kid is there every now and then.
It's just the way that
Which is what makes it a family-friendly film in the first place.
Yeah, but it's the way that it's shot. And a lot of movies in the 90s were shot like they could go to theater, they could go straight to DVD.
We don't know.
We don't know where this is going to end up, everybody. Don't put the budget in here for good cinematography, just good enough for home release. Yeah, there were a lot of films in the 90s that were filmed like that. We mentioned this earlier this month. I don't remember what movie we mentioned this for. Species, that was it. The 90s was kind of a dark era for films. A lot of films in the 90s just kind of had, like, they fell into so many tropes, and a lot of them just felt cheap. They just felt really cheap. And you look at this thing, you look at the werewolf, and you go, there was some money put into this. You look at everything else in this film, and you go, that's where all the money was put into that werewolf. Anything else you want to say about this film?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there is one scene, but it's like the spoiler part.
I will leave it at that. There is a dream sequence at the end of this, and it's a pretty good dream sequence. It's one of those things that, the thing that happens in the dream sequence, both of us were wondering at the exact same time, wait, so would this work? Would this actually happen? Would that actually be a thing? Yeah. And I'm glad that they kind of brought it up in a dream sequence, although the very weird thing is that a lot of horror films end with someone having a dream sequence, but then the dream sequence leads into them waking up, and after they wake up, the dream was kind of meant to be like a message about, oh, the nightmare's not over, something's still out there. This one, dream sequence, wakes up, oh, thank God it was just dream sequence, everything's okay,
Yay.
happy credits go by. That's odd. That's very weird. Also, I will say, there is an incredibly dark scene towards the very end of this film. Like the final showdown between the dog and the werewolf. That final moment is way deeper and way darker than anything else we got in this film. And again, contrasting it with the tone of the rest of this movie, it's very odd. This is certainly not a bad film. I do not think it's a bad film at all. It's just kind of an odd, sort of all over the place film. But if you are interested in checking out werewolf films this week, it's not bad. It's okay. I know I will be willing to say I think you liked it way more than I did. But I still think it's an alright film.
Yes, if you like dogs and werewolves, check it out.
Yes. It's currently up on Shudder. That's where we watched it. Although I think on Amazon you can watch it free with ads.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's available. Also Shudder, man. I signed up for a 30-day free trial at the beginning of this month. That thing has paid for itself this month. Granted, it was a free trial, so I didn't have to pay anything, but... Which, by the way, this is not an ad for Shudder. They're not sponsoring us. However, considering the fact that we review 31 days of horror movies every single month, Shudder, sponsor us already. I will shill for you. I don't care. So, yeah, that is it. What is it? Oh, yeah, tomorrow... we are going to do a really interesting film. I had never even heard of the film that we're doing tomorrow. And I picked it because I thought it was going to be terrible. I thought I could laugh at. It's actually pretty darn good. So come back for a pleasant, undiscovered werewolf film tomorrow, everybody. And until then, as always, happy Halloween.
Bye.
Oh, hey, our own little dog just appeared. Blop.
Hey. Will you protect us from a werewolf?
I will join the werewolf. The werewolf gives me meat.